Good evening, Antioch. This is Jason, of course, and I just wanted to share a couple thoughts this evening, not as long as normal, hopefully, but just a few thoughts about some of the things that have kind of gone through my mind the last couple days and some of the things that have popped in through my Bible study. Mostly it's the aspect of what we're going through and the times we're going through and the different thoughts of what people have about why we're going through it and what could be happening with it. I shared earlier about the aspect of we have to trust our authorities because God put them there. But also wanted to share a little bit of information that came through when it comes through what Paul went through. And he records this in 2 Corinthians chapter 1. It's Paul and Timothy writing to the church at Corinth, and they're talking to the people about God being a God of comfort and a God that provides comfort to people when they're going through all these troubles. And they go on and they describe how God provides that comfort. Jesus provided the comfort. If Jesus could go endure all the stuff he had to endure, then that should provide us comfort that we can make it through as well. Then he goes on a little bit further on to that in verse 9. He goes, "Indeed, in our hearts we felt the sentence of death," which some of us might feel when we're being quarantined. "But this happened that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God who raises the dead. He has delivered us from such a deadly peril, and he will deliver us. On him we have set our hope that we will continue to deliver us. As you help us by your prayers, and many will give thanks on our behalf for the gracious favor granted us in answer to the prayers of many." And I see that, and I look and see that's exactly what's happening. We can't blame God for this. We can't really even blame Satan for this. But I think it's a moment where God is taking advantage of the things that are happening and saying, hey, you know what? This is happening to you, but I want it to be something that teaches you something. And hopefully throughout this time that we've been quarantined and the stay-at-home orders and not being able to meet in our buildings together, we are able to see that we can't rely on ourselves. I was joking around with Michelle last night talking about how 2020 is one of those things that I was prepared for. I was set for it. Abby was going to graduate. Yay, that's going to happen. We're going to send her off to college. We're down to one kid. We're going to keep preparing him to do whatever he needs to do to make it through and be successful. And then I was like, I even had activities planned out for all of 2020. I had a sermon series planned out all throughout the year, what's going to happen when. I was ready for 2020, and then all of a sudden there's this big curveball. And I think it boils down to that exact point, that this happened so that I would learn not to rely so much on myself. I am a very much so a control freak. I've talked about that before. And it's just the way it is. I like to be in control of what's going to happen, especially if I'm involved, and know what direction I need to go and what needs to be taking place. Some people can say that's because of things that have happened in the past, and it might be. But at the same time, this verse just kind of stuck out. This happened that we might not rely on ourselves. We cannot rely on our own selves. And hopefully out of all this, when it's all said and done and we can get back to a little bit of normalcy, I don't think we'll ever be normal. I think there'll be some changes that have taken place that we'll have to live with and adjust to and say, hey, this is okay. It's a good thing. And one of those, I think, is that where we learn to rely on ourselves to develop spiritually. And because of that, we'll actually see that church, when we come together on a Sunday morning as a body of believers joining together in one building, it's a time where we really do live out what the gospel is. We are all people out sharing the gospel, proclaiming Christ, and then we come back together once a week, necessarily, maybe more than that, but at least on a Sunday morning to share the ventures and the things that we've done and the things that we've accomplished and the things that we have said, hey, God has done this week through my engaging him and engaging the people around me. The aspect of being a good neighbor, going out and neighboring. I think that'll be another thing that we're going to focus in on a little bit, is what it means to be a good neighbor. What does it look like to be a neighbor? I think too many times in our society, and I'm just as guilty of it, we forget what being a neighbor really is. We live next door to people. We might know their name. We might see them out and about. We might wave and be friendly, but do we really know our neighbors? That's something I'm going to be working on and trying to develop and go on from there. But I think that's part of it. And I really do think that that's what this is speaking to for us, is that it's okay. God is going to provide us the comfort that we need, give us the ability to maintain what we need to maintain, give us the ability to rely on him to help us grow and push and develop. and then deliver us in the end from these times of uncertainty. Why? So that we can have thanksgiving. So we can give these moments of praise and gratitude and be able to say, hey, if it wasn't for God, we would have never made it through this. And we would look back in the future, we can look back and say, you know what, this was a time period where everything was going wrong. We didn't know how we were going to make it through. We didn't know what was going to happen. The church was suffering. Last year during our homecoming celebration, I had went through and looked at our history and found a whole bunch of things that I looked at and said, wow, Antioch has gone through a lot. But yet here it was recorded in a little bit of a history we have written down, stating that even through all this stuff, Antioch was able to persevere. Antioch was able to continue. Why? Because it wasn't about themselves. It was all about God and God's purpose for the body of believers at Antioch. And that's what we're going to keep pushing for. We need to learn it's not about us. It never has been. It never will be. It's all about what we can do to help further God's kingdom, because it's all about God and what He wants and what He desires. And our theme this year still holds true, that we are planning to go and do whatever it takes. And that's what we're trying to venture into and trying to look and what it's going to look like now and how's it going to be different. We don't know, but we're going to keep trying to develop that. And we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep doing, and we're going to keep reminding people that we are on this journey together, and it's not going to change. If you're a part of Antioch, we're on a journey, and we will remain on that journey together, and it will always point towards Christ. He is our finish line. He is the target. He is the only thing that ever matters. And when we climb at that pinnacle, we could say we've accomplished it. We finished the race. We've done it. We've made it to Christ. And after that, we can say, I can finally rest, and I am done. And then God can say, welcome home, my good and faithful servant. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of encouragement that this is happening. Not because you've done something wrong, not because everything is going crazy or haywire, but I think it's happening so that you can learn not to rely on yourself, not to rely on somebody else, but simply rely on God and God alone. I hope you guys are being able to stay home and staying safe, staying healthy, that you're able to love God more and more every day, that you're able to find unique opportunities to show love to your neighbors, to show unique love to people around you that might not know who God is, so that when they look at you, they can see Jesus reflected in you. We love you guys. We cannot wait to be able to see you guys face to face again at Antioch and be able to worship together and see exactly what it is that God has taught you throughout this quarantine time. Until then, keep on being safe. Keep on sharing God's love. We love you.